I'm Cursing Mushroom, and welcome to another Destiny 2 video. What's up, Guardians? Cursing Mushroom here, and welcome back to another Destiny 2 video. So in this video, I want to give you guys a little update on the whole faction rally shenanigans, and I brought a buddy of mine. He hasn't heard it yet, but I wanted to give it to him kind of like fresh and kind of get his opinion since I've read it and I know what's going down to see how he feels about it. So, High Class, are you about ready for me to read this to you, man?
Indeed. Let's hear it.
Okay, so, all right. So 1/18/2018, this week at Bungie. Let's get into it. This week at Bungie, the factions have returned. There has been a lot of feedback on some of the changes made to the faction rallies in Season 2. I'd like to take a moment to list some of these larger topics. There is an ongoing process at Bungie to assess how we want to change Destiny 2 in the weeks to come, and your voice is a crucial part of it. There was an issue in the previous faction rallies where players were earning hundreds of faction tokens per hour without firing a single shot. In the recent December 12th update, faction token rewards were added to an existing system that was locking players out from lost sector rewards. We have heard player feedback that this solution was too disruptive. We are looking at a change that won't make players feel forced to run to and from a single chest for hours while also not placing a hard stop on enjoying lost sectors. We want to ensure that every time you open a chest, there's loot inside. We'll share more details on this before the next faction rallies. There are other questions that players immediately asked when decrypting their faction engrams was, where are the new Season 2 weapons? It was not made clear beforehand that the new Season 2 weapons would be added throughout the events of the season rather than all at once in the beginning. This was on us, no excuses. You can read the full details with how the weapons will be rolled out here. We'll be remedying this lapse in the communication next week. Details on what you should expect when the next Iron Banner rolls out in Season 2. Faction Rally closes out next week. Whichever faction you deem most worthy will be selling their weapon in the tower as the first offering of Season 2, like usual. So let me click right here real quick and take it here. I don't know what's going to reroute me. If we can get it to go. Okay, so now this is what they posted Wednesday, I believe. Yeah, Wednesday. Okay. With the release of Curse of Osiris, each faction has received 5 new weapons. So you're going to get 5 new weapons. That's the ones we talked about. You remember when I was telling you that there's more than what they're showing to be in game.
Right.
So it says in the first faction rally of Season 2 this week, there's a new auto rifle available at the winner's offering. No new faction weapons are available through faction engrams. So what they just said there is that there's the one that we know about if our faction wins, and that's the only one that's the only new weapon available, which there is a sidearm, but they don't even care about that thing. In the second faction rally of the season, the winner's offering is updated to a new weapon. Additionally, the previous winner's offering auto rifles and an additional weapon are added to the faction engram rewards. So what it's saying is that when we complete this faction rally, the other 2 weapons or the other auto rifles are going to go into the loot pool plus 1 more weapon. So when the next faction rally comes around, instead of us getting like 3 or 4 weapons, it's going to be 2 weapons, whereas this time we only get the one. The one, and that's only from winning. So if you don't care for New Monarchy's auto and you want Dead Orbits or Future War Cult, you're not even going to be able to get those until the next time around if you get them from a drop, and only if you get them from a drop. You know, obviously there's no guarantee of that. And then it says the final faction rally of the season will follow this functionality. The winner's offerings will be updated to a final weapon that has yet to be featured. The previous weapons offerings will be added to the faction engram rewards alongside an additional weapon. This brings the total to 4 weapons within the faction engram, and the final winner's offerings to factions to compete for over the course of the event. So what that's saying, in my mind, is what's happening is they're just trickling the possible weapons that you can get.
I feel like it's kind of a delay. It's just like, okay, here's one weapon. And then we're going to take the other 2 weapons from the other factions and put it in for the second faction war. Like, okay, they're meant for that faction. Why would they put it into the role, first of all? In my opinion.
Right.
It's like you're doing a faction a faction rally to grind for the weapons that you want.
Yeah, it's about the weapons and armor, mostly the weapons, because it's factions.
That's what it's about. And to me, by them having it trickle in, what is the point of, okay, yeah, sure, you do get a chance to get it if your faction didn't win for what you wanted, but that's what the grind is for. No, don't trickle it in. In my opinion, it's why would you trickle it in like that when you should have faction rally based weapons like they've had in season 1? But that's what I think they should have. I think they're trying to find an easier way to do it. And yeah, sure, they've added other things in there, like, okay, like, yeah, a weapon that's yet to be announced for the final faction war before the season ends. But really,
yeah, I mean, dude,
like it's recycling from every other faction for a chance when they're supposed to be faction specific.
I feel like it should be mandatory for them to be in there from the beginning, because what you're doing is you're reducing the amount of time someone has to actually obtain these weapons. So like the weapons that get dropped at the very end of the whole season, you're only going to have that 1 week to get lucky and get it. And if you don't get it, you're going to be waiting a while, most likely. And that's saying even if they don't pull it out of the loot pool, because I don't know if they're going to do that or not. You know, you can't tell with them. So like, let's say the sweet auto rifle or hand cannon drops at the end of the season. And like last time, I grinded all week on one faction for one weapon that I really wanted and didn't get it. And I don't even know how many times I leveled up this person and did not get it. And I still have not got it. And like, I don't mind RNG because, I mean, I get it. That's like, you get excited once it happens. But like waiting till the end, let's just go back here for a minute, High Class. Think of it this way. In Destiny 1, which I don't like comparing it to Destiny 1 because it's obviously a different game, but there was no seasons, which I actually like the seasons better. It was pretty much seasons without being spoken for, except their weapons would be a full set, like 5 or 6 weapons, and they would just stay there for an extended period of time. And when you had the materials, you could get them, or you could get them by playing, excuse me, I don't even remember what my train of thought is here, but you get what I mean. You could get them still. Like, you had like a bunch of weapons to choose from for an extended period of time, and they would re-roll randomly, which I know that there's no re-rolling in this game, but I don't know. It just feels really diluted to me. Like, there's the whole reason for factions is weapons and armor. The armor is the same from season 2 or season 1, so the armor hasn't changed any. What's the reason to grind for it for ornaments, which look kind of cool? They're just paint jobs, and you can get them within a couple hours if you know how to do it, like myself. I mean, I've almost got all 3 of them, and I haven't really even played that much, and there's no weapons. Like, I feel like it's dude, it's
the way how the ornaments are working, right? Like, they go across the board, like how we were talking about it a couple days ago. If you even pledge, for example, with Dead Orbit, with the one character, it unlocks for all your other characters. And I can see how they did that with all the other ornaments, but it's supposed to be faction specific. So it's just like, okay, I have some armor with like my Warlock because I did it before, say, for example, with Dead Orbit. And this time I want to do it with my Titan. Just because I pledged my allegiance with my Titan doesn't mean my Warlock should get it if I wanted it. Like, that should be their grind. Like, okay,
I feel like it's about weapons, man. It's about weapons. It always has been. Like, I mean, the armor and the ghosts and the ships and sparrows is cool, but I feel like because so many people pressured them to get, even myself, I wanted ships, sparrows, ghosts, and all that stuff in there in the loot pool, but I didn't want it in there at a sacrifice of weapons. Like, that's what I feel like has happened, and it's not fair. And I don't think it should be a concurring thing into season 3 where they're going to trickle us one weapon at a time. One weapon, dude, that's nothing. That is nothing. This is not even, that's so wrong in my opinion. One weapon when we're even, like I said, Destiny 1, not trying to compare, but multiple weapons instead of just, oh, you can get one weapon. What would be the point of that? Like,
well, okay, for example, Destiny 2 Year 1, you can't compare it to Destiny 1 Year 3.
Right.
But in Destiny 1 Year 3, like, you could have the same weapon, but you're right, they had different roles. Like, so it would play differently. it gave everyone like the fact that okay, I want this weapon does better, say for example in PvE as opposed to PvP. The different roles is what made it more versatile. You could do a lot more things with the roles.
Right.
And now that they've changed it to, hey, like, look, everyone's going to get this weapon, minus now that they have Masterwork, so you have a chance to give yourself a little bit of an edge. Don't take out the fun of trickling one weapon in at.
They're removing the fun of what made Destiny 1 so fun.
Rallies.
Like, they're removing the whole loot-based thing based off Destiny. Like, that's what everybody wants to do, is they want to play the game, and they want to get something that maybe their buddy has got and that they really want, or something that they've just seen somebody with that they really want, or just seen it in general somewhere, and they want it really bad, and so they're chasing this one thing. But if you only have one thing to chase, what's the point? Like, you know what I mean? It's like, well, I guess I'm going to get that weapon, if I get it. You know, it's like... and then it's just a bad timing too, man. I mean, and the whole token thing, like, to be honest, I don't even think it's that big a problem. If somebody wants to do that forever, let them do that, you know. Don't just completely obliterate the game. You know, I heard on Reddit and Twitter of people like doing like 10 or 12 public events and would only get rewards like from 2 or 3 of them, or not get any at all, or get rewards from all but 2 or 3 of them. So like they weren't getting rewards because of this patch at a pace that was supposed to be happening. So not only did they remove the amount of guns you could get, which is pretty much none, they also made it harder for you to collect coins. I mean, everybody's like, oh, it's about the grind. I love the grind, but you're not grinding for anything. There's nothing to grind for. You're making me grind for these tokens to turn them in and get the same thing I already had. It makes no sense. It's not about season 2 to me. It's about the DLC has dropped, and this should be new content. In any game, once the DLC drops, if there's an event or something that happens after thus DLC or expansion drop, the content is not old content from before the DLC. It is new content. Whether it be a bunch or not, it's something. This, we're getting reskin ghosts, ships, and sparrows, which have no purpose, have no meaning, and that is it. Oh, and a new shader. You can get a new shader from each one of them, but those shaders are cool, but I mean, it's a shader, dude. It's not affecting how the game plays.
Right.
I mean, I don't know. What's your final verdict on it, man? How do you feel about the whole situation before we keep going on this snowball effect?
Well, back to the weapons. I don't think they should trickle it. I think they should have each faction rally. I believe that they should have a certain set amount of weapons, because that gives you the opportunity to grind for the weapon you want, to pledge your allegiance to that faction. That's what the faction rallies are for, right?
Right.
Not trickle it in like, oh, like, hey, just because you missed an opportunity on this one, we're gonna bring it back in so you have the other opportunity on the second chance. That's the grind for the faction rally. You pledge your allegiance, and you have to try and grind for it and hope your allegiance wins, not just bring it in and spend like the 50,000 whatever glimmer for a weapon that you may or wanted.
I mean, that's how I feel about it too, man. I think that, like before season 1, for instance, even though we only got a couple weapons at the end, I was okay with, because I was only going for the factions, not the end weapon, because the end weapon, I have all 3 characters anyways, like most Destiny hardcore players. They have all the characters. They are with each faction, so it does not matter which faction wins, because they're going to get the weapon anyways. And, you know, they're going for the weapons of the whole loot pool. That's what they're chasing, and the gear, not just the one weapon, because that's saying that everybody has only one character, and that is so false. I'd like to see the numbers on that, honestly.
Well, that's what I was kind of saying about the ornaments, right? Like, just because you could pledge different allegiances with all your other characters, but if you complete one with the one character, all your other characters get it. I believe that it should just be with that one character, because you pledge that allegiance for the one.
Right.
So
right.
It would actually make it a little bit more.
Yeah, because you'd have to go get the gear set for that character next rally, which would be better.
Right.
You wouldn't have to just, let me just get it with, let me sign up for each with each faction and get all of them in the first week. And that's all. Especially with them only trickling one weapon in next time, because it's like, okay, what I've already got that auto rifle. What am I going to do now? There's one new one. There's one new
ornaments.
Yeah, because I feel like they're forcing you just to go for that win, which is, I mean, that's cool, but you're also making it where the people that aren't just going for they're going for the win, but they're going for everything that person provides. Like, I keep going back to Destiny 1 with this, and I don't know why, but it's just, I like the idea of seasons, but how can you botch it so bad with this? It's simple. If you gotta I would rather see 10 reskinned, same perked weapons. So it could be the better devils, and they could call it the worst devils and put a different skin on it, and I would chase it. Why? Because it's got a different skin on it. When I put a paint job on it, it's going to look different. It may shoot the same, but that's better than nothing at all. I mean, just nothing. I mean, like, it's like either have a grind for something that's really not that valuable, or just don't have it at all. What?
Comparing season 2 to season 1 right now, season 1, even, okay, the end faction rally weapons weren't, like, some of them were okay, but the weapons that they provided for that faction were even better than the end rally weapon.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what I love chasing, and you could only get it for that faction. That was the reason why I pledged the allegiance to that faction in season 1. But now with season 2 around, like with the DLC, you get, okay, so what? I guess this season it's all auto rifles, right? You have a chance just to grind for one weapon. Where's all the other weapons? Like, each faction, they should have kept it kind of like season 1, where it's like, okay, New Monarchy, Future War Cult, and Dead Orbit. You can get these weapons within these factions, but you have to pledge your allegiance.
Right.
And that's what I would like to see come back, not trickle it in one by one, because those faction weapons, in a sense, were better than the one weapon that you were chasing for that.
Do you feel like they're trying to push people towards DLC purchases by not having really anything of value in the free content? Because it's free content is what it is. If they're only providing one weapon, which most people, in my opinion, most people that are going to play this are going to have the DLC because they're continuing to play the game. People that don't buy the DLC probably didn't want to continue playing the game, and so they didn't buy it. And like, this is their way to maybe trick them into like, oh, here's a new weapon, but it's only like one weapon and some armor ornaments. Maybe like
that's what I mean, right? Like,
I feel like that's what's happening. It's
I can see
intentional.
It's exactly what happened when the DLC dropped. For example, the Prometheus Lens. When the Prometheus Lens dropped, people that didn't have the DLC couldn't get it, but it was such an essential weapon, but it was still a broken weapon.
Right.
So it, in a sense, to me, it's okay. Maybe they are waiting for people to get the DLC so they could have DLC Season 2 weapons. But they don't want to make the same mistake when the DLC dropped and bring weapons out, maybe, that were broken.
Because they can get the weapon, they can get any of the stuff from the faction rallies now that's been like changed from what the original plan was. I think that's why they're changing it, dude, because originally they were going to have it like stocked up, and then they realized that people were mad because they didn't buy the DLC, so they weren't going to get to play this event. Well, what that has done is made it where there's nothing there.
Don't ruin the community in a sense. Like, don't ruin the community in a sense for people that love playing the game. For example, I love playing the game. You love playing the game. There's others around the world that love playing this game. People will still play this game. They bought the DLC, but don't cut your content, especially on a faction rally. It's supposed to be a war, a faction war.
Yeah.
Into one weapon.
Yeah, it's like here's the coveted auto rifle that's got the worst stability you've ever seen. That's got this range like a scout rifle, but that's it. And then there's one that's got horrible stability. It's got some decent perks, but it's got horrible stability. Horrible stability. Oh, and then here's this other one that's got great stability, but it does no damage. Huh, which one should I go with? I'm going with the one at least I can hit the target with rather than the others that you can't even hit the target with. Just saying.
Right.
Oh, God.
That's what I feel about that. And it's just like, don't botch your faction rallies.
They're doing it because they want more people to buy the DLC, dude. I feel strongly about it. The more I think about it, they're doing this so that people that don't have the DLC feel like unless they buy it, they're not really getting anything extra. which is really ruining it for everybody else, because you got to remember Iron Banner's part of the season now too. It's free content. So if are they going to do the same method with Iron Banner? Because if that's the case, they're ruining some of the best parts of the game. No one ever complained about the factions in Destiny 1. I mean, yeah, there was things that they complained about, but they never complained about being able to get weapons. They never complained about playing Iron Banner and getting weapons and armor.
By hearing what you were explaining and by looking at it, and they only have one weapon. And, you know, with the DLC, like, I feel what they should have done if they were going to do something like this is if, for example, with Brother Vance, you could craft your weapons. You just had to get the things. If they were going to have one weapon in Faction Rally, why not make it so you can, at least for like the other players that don't have the DLC, or even for us that have the DLC, grind certain materials and you can craft a weapon from that faction.
Yeah, that would be cool.
If they want to bring in crafting. Like, I think they should have done that rather than just have one auto rifle across the whole board. Like, okay, maybe have like 2 crafting things in there, because they talked so big about that though too. And I mean, like, everyone's gotten to the point where they've crafted it, minus the people that didn't buy the DLC. But they could have done something rather than just have one auto rifle across the whole board. Like, oh, hey, here's something that you don't know what it is. It's not like a verse, like, but it says like a name of something, like something cool, and you can go and get materials for it, craft it. That would have been better than, I think, just trying to fuck around, sorry, pardon my language, but with tokens and whatnot. It gives you something cool to try and grind, and it would be different for every faction.
There's like, nothing to grind here. It's completely intentional. Dude, I just can't get over that. It's just
like, maybe every faction have 2 different weapons that you can craft, and it's a mystery. Rather than...
Yeah, but they're not going to give that content to people who didn't pay for the DLC. That's the whole catch-22. And they're trying to have their cake. They're trying to have their cake and ice cream, and, you know, eat both of them. And you know how the saying goes: you can't have both of them.
Botch it, but don't botch it with just one auto rifle.
I feel like personally that you should have to pay for the Faction Rally. Not pay, but you should have the DLC to be able to get the new stuff. You know, there should be maybe 2 slots, one for old stuff, one for new stuff, maybe. Like 2 different pools. That probably wouldn't work too well, but at least, you know, you can compete, but you can't get the new stuff. Like the new stuff's locked out or something like that. I don't know how hard it is to. I don't make games, but or, you know, like most of every other game, you have to pay to continue playing the new content. I mean, that's their thing, is they're trying to give away content, but the way they're trying to give it away is the stuff that they're selling to us. And that's the problem, is they're trying to sell stuff to us, but because people are complaining, you can't just have free stuff. I mean, you're going to have to pay somewhere. I think personally you should pay $10 or $15 a month for Destiny, and all this wouldn't be no problem. They could just put all the weapons they want in there, all the armor, and they wouldn't have to worry about people complaining, because we all paid so we can all play it. Now here's all this stuff. Don't worry about it. Brush it under the rug, you know. Well, anyways, I think we're going to call it. Enough ranting. That's what it seems like. I'm not trying to rant because I love the game, but this is just ridiculous. This is... And they're excuse after excuse. We'll make it better next time. Like, guys, y'all are going to have to pick up the pace here. A lot of people have moved on. I'm looking at Twitter right now, and man, let me tell you how many people have moved on, and a lot of people that were big in the Destiny community. And it's been a while, a long thing coming, but I watch these people read this stuff or see this stuff, and they're like, not even thinking about coming back anytime soon. You're going to have to bring a gold egg laying goose to my house before I get back on that crap. But anyways, guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget, you can always give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. And you can subscribe to the channel in the description below or the comments, where I always put a link, or on the channel itself with the red bar. Guys, it's been wonderful. It's been great. Hope you have a great afternoon, morning, day, or night, wherever you may be. Cursing Mushroom out.